All right, ladies and gentlemen, can one of the presenters just confirm if I'm audible and there are visuals and you can see me before we start?
Nokonwaba, we can definitely see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so let's begin. So I'm aware that we are currently load shedding as a country, stage 2. So the rest of the attendees will keep on joining gradually. However, we do have the most important people here, the presenters, because without them, the speakers, we would not have a webinar. All right. So let me formally begin and introduce everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining our second Career Talk webinar. My name is Nokonwaba Mnguni, and I am the founder of Criminal Justice Empowered. Additionally, I'm also a criminology lecturer at UNISA at the Department of Criminology and Security Science. So just in case a friend decided to share the link with you to this event, and you have no idea or you're not quite sure what CJE is really about, we are a organizational platform that focuses on providing support, community, career guidance, as well as student and professional developmental resources to students and graduates in the School of Criminal Justice. In South Africa as a whole, these students include students from forensics, security science, corrections, criminology, as well as police practice. So our mission as Criminal Justice Empowered is to be the source of information for anyone who's interested in a career in this field, perhaps has no idea what this field entails. So therefore, our mission of this platform is to create a community and fill in the gap amongst students and graduates that have not entered the working space as a result of unemployment or a lack of knowledge of the field. We did receive a lot of requests on hosting this kind of event. This is the feedback from last year's webinar. So a lot of students were really like amped about the webinar. It was our first webinar, which went really, really well. Which basically covered the ground of criminology and the professional bodies that are out there to assist students as well. So because of this, we did receive a lot of requests from students to continue to host this kind of event. One suggested that we host it monthly, and or should I say every now and then. However, to be honest with you guys, we have decided to host this webinar annually, and rather have small initiatives throughout the year to accommodate the academic and professional needs of our students and graduates. So lastly, before we commence with this evening's agenda, I do have one small announcement. So Criminal Justice Empowered is officially a registered organization with a Department of Social Development. Some of you guys, if you guys follow us on our social media pages or LinkedIn, Facebook, earlier this year, I would have mentioned that it was one of our goals to register the organization, well, the platform before, into a professional organization so that we can extend ourselves professionally. So we felt it was important to register this organization, mostly to collaborate with other institutions and organizations on a professional level. Furthermore, we could also collaborate in the future with our students and graduates that would love to volunteer virtually. However, I need to reiterate that these proposed initiatives will only begin the planning phase early next year regarding the development of this organization, so we can cater and reach more students and graduates. We have a great network of criminal justice professionals that are always willing and are always to share their time and their experiences. So this year, I have a great panel, which is unintentionally all male. I think we take it back. Last year we had an all-female panel, which was also unintentional. This year we have an all-male panel. But we welcome you, firstly, our audience. Thank you so much for joining, regardless of the situation that we have with load shedding. And most importantly, we'd love to welcome our panel this evening, our speakers, Mr. Mulafhi, or Mr. Mulafhi. He'll correct me again, apologies for your surname, Mr. Mavhandu and Mr. Phalanndwa, all from the forensics field tonight to discuss their careers in criminal justice. So you might have seen in the invite that's been going around on socials, or that I've sent you personally, that we did have a female speaker on the panel, Ms. Alisa Mnisi. However, unfortunately, she could not attend this event due to last-minute personal circumstances. However, if one of the reasons why you decided to join the event was to hear from a crime analyst, we do have Ms. Taryn Roy, who's a friend of mine and colleague, who's also a crime analyst at the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigations. She was a part of last year's panel, and she's been so kind to agree to also answer a few questions for you if you have any questions. However, she will be on call and not directly on the platform, but she'll be able to be on call to answer any questions that you might have for her regarding her role as a crime analyst. So if you do have questions, like currently, if you really were looking forward to the speaker for the crime analyst, kindly jot down your questions on the chat box so that I could note them down, and then I can ask them towards the end of the session. All right, so I think I've said a mouthful. I think I've said enough, and we could definitely commence with our agenda today. Yes, we are on time. So the first speaker, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is Mr. Phumduzo Mulafhi, and I tried my best to summarize his bio because it is quite extensive. Mr. Mulafhi is the Executive Director of Fakansimbi Advisory Services, as well as a highly experienced, skilled, and highly competent forensic and criminal investigations professional with 15 years experience in corporate and national security agencies. So Mr. Mulafhi has worked for the South African Police Services for 3 years and was employed for 8 years for the Special Investigating Unit as a forensic investigator. Additionally, he's also a certified ethics officer and currently a senior advisor forensic investigator. He also performs consulting work as a senior forensic auditor. All right, so I think I covered the basics, and I'd love to open the floor to our first speaker, Mr. Phumduzo. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Nokonwaba and all the attendees. I don't know where to start because you have summarized who I am. I think I'm a forensic investigator, a criminal analyst by default. It's not something that I started when I was doing my junior degree at the University of Venda. I think due to unemployment, one was forced to look for any type of employment. But fortunately, I was very lucky that before I even graduated, I volunteered to one of the traffic department in my home district in Bembe. That I volunteered while I was waiting to graduate, that I want to earn an experience. Then fortunately, when I was there, you know, when this station was closer to the SAPS area office, one day I noticed people busy submitting their applications. Then I took a chance to say that let me send my application to be a police officer. Fortunately, I was very successful during the rigorous training and then the what you call the interviews. Then I joined South African Police Service. Then I only worked for SAPS for 2 years. While I was busy doing my guard duties at Musina Hospital, I also got an opportunity to apply for a TFI, which is called a Trainee Forensic Investigator for the Special Investigating Unit. Then fortunately, again, God bless me. Then I was successful. And then I missed an interview to be interviewed in Polokwane, only to get an opportunity to be interviewed in the Eastern Cape. Then because I was determined that I really want to pursue my career within the field of forensic, I was determined that I have to attend this interview in the Eastern Cape. Then I took a bus, and I went to the interview. Everything was, was done. So what I'm saying is that I work for the Special Investigating Unit as a forensic investigator for 8 years. Then I left the Special Investigating Unit because I was busy studying, and at that time the SIU was not really busy, so one was really bored because I was tired of doing the same thing time and again. Fortunately, again, God bless me, I was headhunted by a company within the commodity industry called Rand Refinery in Jamestown, wherein I joined them in 2013, wherein I started to work in the commodity industry for the first time because I never had an exposure to work within the mining industry. So there I joined as a coordinator investigations. Due to my hard work, because the company was losing a lot of metals, I decided to, because they were having a problem in the company when I joined them, because some of the metals will be stolen via the external and internal factors. So that was the problem that was tasked to me, that I must investigate and eradicate such kind of a crime that was happening in the company. Fortunately, through my dedication, my determination, and my zeal to succeed, I managed to dismantle a syndicate that was stealing gold at that company. So the gold that I was able to recover at a go was worth 20 million rand. So at that time, the company did not know how they were losing the metals, but myself, I developed the passion for intelligent analysis. I will, read the pattern of the employees and whatsoever. So I was able to build such an intelligent report wherein we managed to dismantle the syndicate. So later on, I went into the consulting industry, wherein I work for a company called Ligwa Advisory Services. It's one of the reputable forensic advisory firms in the country. You can see that they were also given a project to investigate the state security problems. It's not by default that they were given such kind of an assignment. Is because that firm is one of the firm that I say they really know what they are doing in the country. So there I was tasked for 3 months just to deal with the issue of the medical frauds. So it was not easy for me to I think the reason why they chose me is because I had a police background, and the area where I was supposed to work was in the KZN. So it's not easy for one to work in the KZN and then you come back alive. So I was able to work in that project. Within 3 months, the project was completed. We produced a good report, and then to such an extent that the company was given extra work due to the work that some of us contributed at Ligwa. So when I left legal, I decided to say, no, let me use this opportunity to also open my own consulting firm, because I don't want to be an employee forever. And then with the kind of experience and knowledge that I have, it's better for one to do something, because I don't want my kids to ask me, what did you do, Papa, when why did you work for the rest of your life? So I wanted to make sure that at least I leave a legacy to my kids, to my family, my community. At least they will know that I once had a firm of this nature. Currently, I'm involved in an assignment. I won't be able to mention the kind of department that I'm assisting, but it's one of the the department in the country wherein we are investigating the cases related to malfeasance, corruption, and all the irregularities that are happening in the country. So academically, like I said, my junior degree was a B admin. So I developed a passion. I decided to say, no, because I'm joining this field by default or, by a chance, let me try to pursue my academic, space by, enrolling with the institutions like UNISA. I decided to, I have got a program in forensic and investigative auditing. That was my first qualification with UNISA. My second qualification was a certificate in anti-corruption and commercial crime investigations. And then later I obtained my BTech in forensic investigations. Currently, I'm still struggling with my master's in criminology. I think I highlighted to the host here that day we are struggling, because it's very difficult for one to manage employment, and then you also have to focus on your studies. And also I've got I did the UJ qualification, wherein is 4 modules. The one is money laundering, compliance management, board governance, and then the compliance management. So I also have a postgraduate diploma in compliance management. I'm also a certified ethics officer. I'm hoping that soon I will be a certified fraud examiner, because that's one of the field that I want to make sure that one must be certified, because it's very difficult these days to enter the field if you are not a certified fraud examiner. So I'm busy preparing for my examination. I hope by next year, when we have this kind of engagement, one will be a certified fraud examiner. I think that's all I can say about my background.
Thank you, Mr. Phumduzo. Could you just kindly touch on, perhaps without being too biased, your favorite or most challenging thing, your most challenges with regards to you being a forensic analyst, and also the challenges with starting a consultancy firm? So I know that perhaps one of the attendees might also like to get into that one day and begin their own forensics firm. So could you just kindly get into that, the steps, perhaps any challenges you might have stumbled upon, and the challenges of just being a forensic investigator?
You see, my sister, the challenge, if one is to be a forensic investigator, if I can start with that question, is that you must never compromise your values and then your ethics, because there you will be investigating cases worth millions of rand and you only have a 500 rand in your account. So which means that even if you are to enter the field, don't say that when you are investigating, maybe you are investigating the politician or the business people, you will compromise on your ethical values and then your integrity. So your integrity and then your values must be really must be on top, so that when you are dealing with such cases, you don't compromise your professional skills, your professional values. That's one thing. The reason why currently we are having a lot of people who are arrested. Let's say we are seeing a lot of we have normalized that traffic officers, for example, the police officers, one will say that they don't earn so much. Therefore, they have to take, the little 500 rand that they take from us motorists to substitute the salary that they got. When the last I think I'm very comfortable to talk about this, because at least some people, they will know. My take home when I was a police constable was 4,500 rand. That was in 2017. So, and then we were approached by the illegal cigarette syndicate that was operating in Musina. I remember one guy offered me 100,000 rand because they were transporting this contraband, the counterfeit illegal cigarette. So because some of us were fresh from the college, we were determined to say, no, we're gonna catch you, no ways. He tried all tricks, and then it was the three of us, the newly constable, we said, no, we are not taking any of your money. You must be arrested. And then we were able to arrest many illegal cigarettes. They used to know that whenever my shift was on duty, we'll have successes within the borderline from Musina, Masisi, Chamtumbu, Pontrift, within the Limpopo Valley. So we used to make some of those successes. That's wherein I developed a passion for intelligence. Even when I was at Rand Refinery, I was offered 500,000 rand by some of the employees who wanted to steal gold. So because I was determined to say that I'm not going to compromise on my ethical values, I did what was supposed to be done, which was to save the resources of the company. And so far, I'm told that due to the work that I've done at Rand Refinery, that company has never lost any metals, which means that the input and the output is the same. You see, when this company, the way they produce this product, it means that whatever that is brought in, it must be what is sent back to the customer, because those are the product of the clients. So you don't have to steal because you can access that gold bar, then you want to be rich. And also the second question, with regard to starting a forensic firm, is not easy. You will realize that I spoke about me being a certified fraud examiner. Currently, when you apply for work, for tenders, they specify that they want a fraud examiner. And there is a reason why they specify why they want a fraud examiner, is because of the ethical, the oath of office that we take as a forensic, as a certified fraud examiner. So I'm saying that for anyone who want to start a forensic firm, there are so many challenges, but don't be discouraged. There are a lot of opportunities. You can see here in our country, they are talking about white collar crime, malfeasance. You see, even with the SIU, they are struggling with the workload. They are looking for the forensic firms that can assist them to eradicate or to investigate this kind of crime that is really, it's like stealing money from the poor. So don't be discouraged. I'm very happy with this kind of forum, the Criminal Justice Empowered Career Talk, because my problem, Nokonwaba, is that we've got a lot of criminology and forensic graduate, the LLB graduates who are the missing link in the job market. So I just hope that we'll be able to encourage each one of those, people who have given up, because it pains me to see the graduate who are on the missing link. Even when they advertise this kind of posts at SAPS, you will find that we just want to take those people who only have a matric, but we've got a graduates. Some of them have got masters, they've got degrees within the relevant field, but they are being overlooked. But let us hope that with this forum that you have started, and then also to formalize it, will make strides in making sure that our graduates are recognized.
Yes, I definitely agree with everything that you just said. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's very important to add, if you didn't hear me earlier while I was introducing our speaker, that he's also an ethics officer. So ethics really, and integrity and values, it runs within, very deep in him. So he's not easily moved or shaken at all. So I know that I see that the questions are coming through, and I'm definitely speaking to people on the side to assist me to read the questions. However, I think it's best that I allow the next speaker to speak first, and then I'll take questions, and then you'll be able to answer them together. All right. So, okay, guys, so please continue asking the questions. We can definitely see your questions, and we really, really appreciate it. Mr. Phumduzo, thank you so much. I really appreciate your presentation. We'll speak soon in the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so I hope Mr. Brian Mavhandu is ready, because he's our next speaker. So if he could just switch on his camera in the meantime and unmute himself so I can do the introductions. Right, I think Mr. Phumduzo's video is frozen, but we'll continue regardless. I'm sure he will realize it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our following speaker is Mr. Brian Mavhandu. Please correct me with your surname. Today is definitely a lesson for me. Mr. Brian is an intelligence analyst at Topic Works. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Forensic Science and Technology, as well as an honors degree in Forensic Science and Technology from the University of South Africa, our alma mater. And he's currently working towards his master's degree in fraud risk management at the University of Pretoria, and is also a part-time educator and tutor. Mr. Brian has began his professional career as a junior forensic investigator at SNG Thompson Advisory Firm. His experience include procurement investigation, property audit, forensic auditing, and forensic consulting, to name a few. Mr. Brian, the floor is yours. You may begin with your presentation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. You've already introduced me.
Yes.
I'm guessing there wouldn't be much for me.
You just have to, tell your story basically, and just share with us your journey, because I think it's important. I just also forgot to add that the reason why the setup is like this for the webinar, I did not want PowerPoint presentations. I really wanted that connection, real conversations, as if you have someone talking to you right here if we were not virtual. So hence I omit the PowerPoint presentations, because that just puts another level of professionalism and makes it seem like we as the presenters are out of reach. So that's why I wanted to be in a panel form and a discussion and very interactive. So hence you don't see any PowerPoint presentations, and this is the kind of setup we have. So yes, Mr. Brian, I did the intro. However, you know your story better than me. So yes, please continue. The floor is yours, sir.
Not a problem. Greetings, everyone. I hope everyone is doing great. Despite the load shedding that we have. I basically started forensic I wouldn't say by default, but something drove me to it. Because I first did chemical engineering. People always get shocked. People keep on asking me, why would you go into forensic from chemical engineering? But anyways, sometimes when you have a passion for something, it will always pull you to that side. So I basically started doing forensic at UNISA. We were part of the first group actually that did that degree when it was introduced in UNISA. Previously on there were BTech, there was a BTech degree and certificates and all that. And however, with that happening, with me studying towards my forensic degree, I started actually developing a passion for assisting people within the forensic studies, wherein I was able to do part-time tutoring. Um, Sorry, I don't know if my video is still on. Yes, wherein I started doing part-time tutoring in terms of research methodology modules within the forensic degree and all that. So I was lucky enough to get an interview with SNG Grant Thornton while I was still busy studying. So I got the interview. I went to the interview there, and believe you me, sometimes it is very intimidating because now they're going to be asking you questions about the actual work, whereas you only know the theoretical part of things. So however, I got successful with the interview. So I started investigating. I joined as a junior investigator as I had no, forensic experience and all that. So one thing again would be that I do encourage graduates as well to. It's a word that I like using, or rather, say I like to say people must actually make their self known. What do I mean by that? As difficult as it is, to get employment, because with the employment rate going up, with the effect of COVID and all that, it is our duty as graduates, either forensic, criminal justice, fraud risk, all those that are interlinked with, it is our duty to make ourselves known there, because if I could also pick a page from what Mr. Mulafhi said, with how subs does their advertisement and all that. Previously on, we used to have discussion within our forensic group. That time we were still studying. People were nervous. People were asking questions. Is our degree marketable? Who gets to hire us? There is corporate forensic, there's subs, there's all different places wherein you get hired as a forensic investigator or as a criminal justice graduate. So if you are also in a region wherein there is organizations, or rather say companies that are doing forensic work, either it's consulting or investigation in whatever form, you can also approach them. I believe that most people do have access to the internet as well. It is important for us to, knock on those closed doors, because sometimes you think a door is really closed, whereas it's just waiting for you to, introduce yourself, in the sense that you can volunteer, you can ask to volunteer. I know people would be like, okay, I won't have transport money and all that. Look at places that are within close reach to you, wherein you won't spend a lot of money, or if it's a walkable distance, you can also volunteer. It gives you that opportunity to learn and experience what workplace is. It advances your chances to also get hired as well. So I was in the forensic division at SNG Grant Thornton. There was a lot of investigations we did. I ended up doing all probity audits as well, due diligence, procurement. We also did some of the investigation from, country that outside of South Africa as well. And in that way, me as someone that did a BA's degree, you wouldn't think I'll be able to do, fall or fit in an accounting firm. You can fit in within, the space and within the forensic division in terms of, it's different studying something and actually doing it practically, so because there's different types of projects, or rather say assignments, and which also require different sorts of skills. Sometimes we do have skills that are very important, or rather say you as an individual can be an asset, to a company, depending on how you apply yourself as well. I like to also encourage people in the sense that I made people aware of the forensic, degree, and also how you fit in as a forensic investigator. Because every time you tell people, oh, I studied forensic, they mostly think, oh, subs, or you're dealing with you're doing BSc, or rather say forensic pathology. They don't know that you can go through that BA route and end up in a corporate environment. Then I wouldn't go that much into details, but I also got to do some of the projects that actually required accounting expertise, even though I didn't do accounting in school. However, when you do apply yourself and when you are passionate about something, because it gives you a purpose in life, and you are excited to see the field grow as well, you do apply yourself, you get in there and you deliver what they ask for. And also I am a ACFE member. I'm also, like Mr. Mulafhi, still studying towards that, so that I can be certified as well as a fraud examiner. So that is still something that I'm working on right now. However, I did transition from forensic to intelligence, although it's not permanent, but I ended up joining an intelligence firm, wherein they deal with intelligence. You have to always interpret data. You have to always interpret information so that it can be summarized to the client, because sometimes there's information that keeps on coming through. You have to also let them know. You have to also educate them in terms of the threats that they face, what is also leading into their losses, as an organization or as a company as well. So when I joined the intelligence firm, I was tasked to do, daily reporting, wherein you have to look at socio-economic issues, you have to look at political issues, you have to look at safety and security as well, which also form parts of forensic. So intelligence and forensic do have an interlink. People might not be aware of that. People might only think that, oh, the only thing that we qualify for is anything that is written forensic, or anything that is only written criminal justice. However, I am here telling you that there is more that you can do with your qualification that you have. And I also was able to do special research as well. They can task you with any kind of special research. It can be political based, it can be forensic based, all sorts of topics that form part of forensic, that can educate, that can also save the clients. I was also part of a reporting division wherein I was also doing lifestyle audits. Now, with lifestyle audits, you can do, I believe most people will be aware of that, wherein you do individual lifestyle audit and company lifestyle audit. It also depends on the client that is there, or the client that you are working with, on what they want. So with lifestyle audit, it's wherein you are mostly auditing a person to find out, or rather say, to, in the simplest term, to look at that their their lifestyle matches their source of income, or rather say legitimate source of income, wherein you audit people and stuff like that. Because in this current economy, we do have you know a lot of people, either it's in departments or in whatever organizations, wherein they're actually taking from the company illegally. So it leads to the losses and all that. So I was also, when I was still part of the forensic division, there's a lot of challenges. I will tell you that, but my attitude towards that was always that challenges actually is an opportunity. When you are faced with a challenge, it's an opportunity to showcase your skill. It's an opportunity for you to learn, because I believe that we never stop learning. You learn every day. There's certain things that I learn on a daily basis. There is things that you will learn as you move around, different organizations or different companies, depending on whatever they will be doing. So I encourage people also to have that open mind in terms of applying to different kinds of posts that are advertised there. Not just limit themselves to say, okay, no, because I studied criminology, I just want to do that. Or because I am a forensic student or graduate, rather, I only want to deal with forensic, which also brings me to my decision to move from criminal justice to get into fraud risk. It's so that I can, grow as an individual and also grow as an intelligence analyst slash a forensic investigator, because there's also, it's also an aspect that formed part of criminal justice and forensic science as well. So I decided to go into that qualification so that I can enhance and advance on my skills and all that, so that as an individual, I know that I've been through forensic as well. I can add on into what I already have. So those, in the shortest term, is what I've went through in my journey since I started working as a forensic investigator, and also moving to intelligence analyst as well. So yeah. And also sometimes it also does help when you deliver the work, and when you also make people aware of what you've studied, what your experiences are. Because I also did get, like, an offer from one consulting firm. I would not mention them anyways. From one consulting firm, it is nice to have offers, but that comes with, hard work when you apply yourself to that. So they do headhunt you at some point, because they ever since I started as an intelligence analyst, I've had like 2-3 offers from consulting firms that wanted me to join them. However, I did decline some because of the duration, but for someone who is starting, I do understand that would be it would be a good platform or a good start for them. So it's something that I will also talk with you, Miss Organizer, that you somehow get to have a list so that sometimes when we get such opportunities, because sometimes you do get to meet people that want people without experience or they want graduates, so that we know, you should recommend someone, give them something as you're rejecting the offer. Do not just reject the offer and walk away at the very least. So there is also companies that keep on headhunting you. I also encourage people to make sure and keep on updating their LinkedIn account as well. If you feel that you're, because I know it can be depressing being unemployed, especially as a graduate, because you'd find that most of the recruiters want people with experience and all that. It's also advisable for people to keep on, like, just have your motivational letter, keep your CV updated, also approach recruiters. That's why LinkedIn is very important, because there's a lot of opportunities there. Two of the opportunities I'm talking about were through a LinkedIn, post rather. So it really does help for people to have that updated profile and everything. You will get noticed and all that. And when you do your work properly and you are dedicated and you are focused, people will still remember you, because I got called back because a director remembered my previous interview, wherein I didn't want to take the job because of the duration as well. But however, they remembered me on the next post, which was a permanent post. So these things do happen if we get open to trying, and we get open to applying to different branches or different aspects within the criminal justice and the forensic science, or forensic investigation rather. So yes, thank you. That was my summary version.
Yes, absolutely enjoyed that. Thank you so much, Brian, for your presentation. Okay, so I can still see the questions coming through, but before I open the question section, Mr. Brian, can you hear me? I think
Yes,
you've
I can.
frozen.
No,
Okay.
I just muted my mic so that there's no echo. I can still hear you.
Oh, okay. I just wanted, another purpose, ladies and gentlemen, regarding these kind of webinars is to be open and transparent as much as we can, to a limit, of course, because, confidentiality is also important
Yes.
with the jobs that we do. However, I did want to ask, your presentation to me seemed like, of course, you know what you're doing. You're the man for the job. You understand your field and your job very, very accurately. And I just wanted to know, like, when you go through, I'm assuming obviously when they do ask you to come and they're headhunting you, that you do go through an interviewing process. It's not just favoritism or nepotism at all. But like, what kind of questions do they ask? Of course, at the top of your head, anything you remember, are they very technical with their questions? Or do they ask you like questions like tell us about yourself, or those kind of questions, like what kind of questions do they ask you in these interviews? Just a few questions that you might remember at the top of your head.
Okay. So it's different. So I would speak about the last two interviews that I had. Um, okay, I'm just gonna say it was EY with a fraud investigator. They wanted a fraud investigator. So they do ask you scenario based question, obviously also depending on the experience that you have. So I think questions do tend to differ depending on the duties that they want you to perform. However, for graduates, in most cases, they ask general scenario based question. They're not too technical, because they know that you're not yet exposed to the workplace. But it's also important for people to connect with those that have been in the field for practice purposes, for them to get to know, okay, this is the kind of question I would expect and stuff like that. So with me, the one consulting firm, it's one of the big five that I recently had an interview with. It's the one that had hunted me from the previous one. They were asking questions based on ethics. So it also had to do with the position there, which was a forensic investigator. So they do get into issues of ethics now. They will ask you scenario-based questions related to ethics, like things like if someone is to tell you confidential information, unaware, how would you go about handling such a situation? Or if you get to hear someone still telling you such kind of information that is confidential, they are well aware that they're not supposed to be discussing that. How would you go about that? So it's issues of scenario based as well. They would ask you about that. And sometimes they would also look at what you have done before. So they would ask you about how you go about preparing for an assignment or an investigation. So it depends if they are specifically referring to the process or everything from the beginning, bidding, doing applying for the tender and all that and everything. However, I do understand that some people might not be exposed to the tender administration process. Some of us were lucky enough to go through that part wherein you are taught how to compile a tender, or rather say a proposal to bid for an investigation, or rather say an assignment. So it really does depend. With fraud as well, they would ask fraud related questions as well. They will ask about the acts, or rather say the laws. They might ask you about the search and seizure, it depending also on the organization that you're doing an investigation with as well. They might also ask about the section 205 in terms of the how do you acquire information and stuff like that. There are information that we know it's not available to the public. You have to go through a certain process to get hold of that information. As an investigator, they would ask you, how do you go about that? So it's different as well.
Okay, Brian, thank you so much. I think just listening to your response and the processes that go through, various companies for forensic investigator posts, I think that even the audience will agree with me that it's very, very technical. And I think for the students and the graduates that obviously have studied criminology as the core foundation, and obviously thinking of migrating and moving towards forensics because maybe they've changed their mind, or they're most interested in forensics now, or most importantly, or most highly reasons is because that's where the job posts are coming in. It's forensics more than that job written criminology. I think it's important to be able to update your technical skills to be able to answer such questions that Brian has also provided examples on. Because if you look at the difference between criminology and forensics, criminology, it's more, how should I put it, literature based and more research based. However, when you step into forensics, it's more technical, and you have your auditing and investigating your tenders and your money, accounting, finance. So there's a lot, and there's a difference between the two. But I think also one thing that I picked up, it's important for even I, as the founder with my networks as well, to try and organize something where we'll be able to direct students from the graduate students to be able to understand the shift between your literature towards your technical, and be prepared for these kind of questions, and understand the two different fields as well. So with that being said, thank you so much, Brian, for your presentation. It was so insightful. However, I'm not going to let you go now. You can put your camera back on. I don't know how you did because I can see you, but you're frozen. You can put your camera back on, as well as our first speaker, Mr. Phumduzo, as well. Kindly put your camera back on and your audio as well, because now it's Q&A time and the questions have been flowing in slowly but surely. I've seen students asking for mentorship and we get that a lot because we don't have the representation. All we see is on Google. We see these names, but they unable to contact. So when we have these kind of platforms, they actually see real people that with real stories that they're able to look up to and seek information from. So I'll ask Sandisiwe and Olwet to read through the questions for me, and then the two speakers will answer, and then we'll continue with the program. Olwet and Sandisiwe, can you just kindly start from the beginning with the questions, and then if it's specifically directed to one of the speakers, can you kindly mention that? Or if it's a generic question, then either or of the presenters will answer that. Thank you.
Evening, everyone. Just to read a few questions. Actually, I'd just like to verify with Nokonwaba if you can hear me.
Yes,
properly.
You're very much audible.
Okay, great. So the first question, you're right about the mentoring. The first question is Ilona. Hi, I have a question, please. Can I please be mentored by you as I'm struggling to get into the forensic field? I think that question is directed at
the first speaker.
Mr. Phumduzo, yes.
Yes, because I saw it came through at the beginning while he was still presenting. So, Mr. Phumduzo, people are asking for mentorship. How do we go about that? When I started off as well, I just started off as, just a lecturer, going through my own thing, trying to figure out my PhD, and then people were like, the webinar really was so insightful. Can I get contact details? I need mentorship. I need direction. So here you are. Students are requesting mentorship, and I'm sure they will come offloading once I post the recording. So what do you have to say about that? Are you open to mentorship at all? How's your schedule looking?
It's one of an interesting question, but I've helped a lot of people. Even now, I still assist a lot of graduates. Some of them, they are lost. I saw some of the question. One is asking, can I, leave my honors in criminology and then I can go to forensic? I'm saying that not really different. We don't have much distinctive difference between the two fields, like what you explain, Nokonwaba, that it differs. One is technical, one is more like a research base, but I'm willing to assist everyone. I think you can share my details. I prefer LinkedIn. I don't want to be.
Yes, of course.
Yes, LinkedIn is
that's where we start.
It's a professional
yes.
what you call platform, like what Brian was encouraging all of us that let's update our LinkedIn profile. Let's post something, find something interesting to share on LinkedIn daily. You cannot be on LinkedIn all the time, but find something within your field. You can even ask people to to assist you to look for an employment. We normally share such kind of a cry on this professional platform like LinkedIn. It's not like your Facebook where you will be seeing naked ladies, guys naked on on your Instagram, but there is a professional platform. Use it to your benefit. Make sure that you update your profile, you update your CV, your cover page. You must update it. Don't just use a generic cover page when you are applying for employment. Tailor made it to suit for that particular employment or job that you are applying. So I can't wait to finish this assignment that I'm busy with here, because I think I will finish my assignment next year. So I think once it's finished, because now I can see a lot of opportunities that I did not, see before, because it was during lockdown. There was nothing that, we were not getting any, clients, but I decided to take a chance to say, no, let me assist this department that is crying all the time, because we are faced with a lot of, malfeasance in this country. So I'm just saying that one question that I saw is with regard to the question if SIU is still offering the trainee forensic investigators. I think the last trainee forensic investigators that they offered was 3 years ago. Currently, they are just recruiting, people from the firms, your forensic firms. So don't be discouraged to start, at the bottom. As long as you are having an opportunity to see how, they do, because we do a lot of report writing in this field, how they do the write-ups, how they write a report and whatsoever. It will also boost you when you go to the interview, because one of the questions that one will be asked, that this one I'm just telling you now, you'll be asked about the report structure, even if you don't go into details, but you must just know how do you craft your report, how do you write your recommendation. And one of the questions, like I'm encouraging people that if you want to be in this field, you must be ethical. You must have integrity, because you will be asked, one of the questions that they will ask is to say, if you are directed by whoever to change the recommendation of the report, what are you going to do? So that question comes back to the issue of ethics and integrity. So you must just know that once you are entering this field, you will not have a lot of friends. Like some of us, we don't even go to your, it's a, you are on your own. You don't really go to these social events, because some of the people that we investigate, they go there. So you must really be prepared that you'll be like a priest when you do this kind of a calling. I call it as a calling because not everyone want to be a fraud examiner. I'm very encouraged by what Brian was saying, just to divert from, the science to be in this field, is, it talks about, the character in him. And also one of the course that I did, um, because some of the people, they ask me, why you always get this pattern right? If you follow me on Facebook, I always get them right, because it's due to the some of the teaching that we got from the institution called Online Intelligence. I did I think it's a 2 weeks intelligent course, because currently the University of Stellenbosch, which was offering the course in intelligence, they no longer, offer such kind of a course, because due to low 10 people no longer want to register. Even our guys at State Security, they don't want to register formally. But that course, that was the only institution that was offering that course for one to be, to be an intelligent officer. So I did an intelligent analysis at Online Intelligence. Some of the pattern, with the pattern, you will never mess up with me, because I get them right. And it's because of the teaching that we got at Online Intelligence. Currently, the police academy on intelligent, they're not really offering much on intelligent. You know, there is a lot that I can say, but I don't want to be to say some of those things. But there is a lot that we can improve within our justice, you know, cluster in terms of policing, your NPA, your SIU, your financially intelligent sector. There is a lot that we can do, and I believe that we have got the graduate who can really help if they are brought in as interns, because they really have the qualification. Why can't you take them on to be employed, you know, as your interns within those, you know, field? Because we are not born with the experience. You gain experience and the knowledge daily, and also with the qualification that he did. Sorry, Brian, to take your limelight. I'm just saying that the qualification from UP is one of the qualification that you know, we really want to do that qualification. I'm just saying that let's just study everything within the field. One person is asking me on the question on the comment line, why did I do the postgraduate diploma in compliance? You see, in compliance, in the postgraduate, the first module that I did is money laundering. So we must just know that money laundering is related to the field that we are doing. We also study the compliance management and also the board governance. One will be asking, why did you study board governance? You see, we investigate the boards. So you must just know the, you know, the king codes and whatsoever, how the board is composed, how they conduct a meeting. You must know those kind of things. And also we did the course on the interpretation of statutes, because here you interpret a lot of laws. You must be able to see, you know, interpret a particular law. How are you going to interpret law if you don't have a basic of law? So that's why that qualification is very much important. And also the diploma in criminal justice from UJ is also helpful, and many courses at UNISA. So people must not be reluctant even to do these 6 months, 12 months courses, because once you accumulate those ones, you can be able to, you know, to put them on the table to say, I've got, you know, this kind of qualification, and then you can get whatever opportunity. So I'm just saying that our students, our learners, and all the people who are watching, they must not be discouraged. So yeah, that's all.
I'm muted. Thank you so much, Mr. Phumduzo. I see the time currently is 16 minutes past 6. So we'll take 4 more minutes just for questions, more questions. So we'll just answer these questions within the 4 minutes. If there are any other questions left for the two gentlemen, we will then place them at the end after our next speaker, so then we can just have all the questions together. But I see that we do have a lot of questions with regards to forensics and so forth. So we do have a big group that's interested in that. So Sandisiwe Mnguni, can you just, oh, that's my sister, by the way, assisting me. Can you just read out any other questions for the last 3 minutes?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So Tiafula, I do just want to caveat that I highly apologize if I pronounced any names incorrectly, but this is another mentorship question. Tiafula is doing a forensic investigation, is a forensic investigation graduate with awaiting Masters of Criminal Justice and wants mentoring. I think Mr. Phumduzo did mention that they can be contacted via LinkedIn for that. So we can just move on to the next questions. Pelimon is asking, how do forensic investigators and auditors protect their values and integrity when dealing with investigations where criminals can offer you a large amount to make a case disappear? I think that's directed at any of the two speakers.
I think Brian, okay. you can answer that
Brian,
question.
Let's allow you to answer that question. Values, integrity. How do we go about that?
Yes, because that does come very often in interviews, especially if you're going into fraud and all that. So, with everything that you're doing with an assignment, before you get in there, there's steps that are followed in terms of that. The issue of confidentiality also come with, um, issues wherein, let's say for a typical example, you are busy with a project or you are brought in to do an assignment, then you happen to see that the person that is in, you know, investigated or that is conflicted in whatever issue is, it's someone that you know. By law, you are supposed to disclose that if like it's a relative or someone close to you and all that. You are supposed to disclose that because then your investigation won't be tempered, because if you don't get to disclose that, then someone else gets to find out. You have technically, ruined, or rather say, wasted the entire work that was done there. So there are also issues wherein they will ask you if someone is to offer you money to, change the recommendations rather of an investigation and stuff like that. They will ask you how would you go about that. That's where issues of, ethics and integrity comes to play. You have to know the proper channels to follow. You have to know what you need to do in situations like that, because I believe that most organization, or just to name a few, would have, the proper channel wherein you can communicate that with whoever is in charge, or whoever is the person that you report to in terms of that, because doing so does keep, show your
Mr. Brian, you have frozen. Oh, it's so unfortunate. Okay, you're back. You're back.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I think it was just the connection.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. I was also talking about issues wherein there is channels, rather it's like someone reporting corruption or fraud. I believe there are organizations that are also you can that also have those channels wherein you do something, anonymously, so to, protect yourself, so that we don't know, oh, it's Brian that spoke about that. It's Brian that, to save your life, as Mr. Mulafhi did say, that it's a mystery how he got to work in KZN and come back alive. So in terms of, ethics and all that, you have to be a very trustworthy person. It's not a very easy thing to do, because I know those people, when they approach you, it's because they know what you're earning. Some people even do research, because with all these crimes or criminals, they have patterns. Criminals don't just decide today that they're going to commit a crime and do it that very same day. There's planning that goes into that. They actually, learn. They know your moves. There's certain research that they, you know, perform, so that they get to know. So they don't just offer you money if you have money. So that's where in you have to really know where you stand. You must not get into forensic, guys, if you know that you are just going to be there, and when they offer you the next 1,000, you are gone. Because it can be really tough, because we deal with private and, public sector. You possibly going to be dealing with people that have money, and they are willing to pay anything to make something go away. So you really have to be a
Worthy person. Yeah.
trustworthy person for through. Very important to also read that non-disclosure contract that you sign, because it will be there. Whether it's in forensic criminology, intelligence, you have to, sign that as well. So you need to read through, you need to know what is at stake, you need to know what you must do and what are the processes or steps to be followed in case you are faced with that challenge.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brian. I know that there are more questions. However, for the sake of time, I will pause the questions for now. But because I think this question might be directed to me, sorry guys, my eyesight is quite weak. I can't really see the name, but I can read the question. It says, I would like to know if it is advisable for someone who has a Bachelor of Arts in Criminology to do an honors degree in forensics. Currently, it looks like forensics degree holders stand a better chance of getting employed. I can also take this question, gentlemen. I think, okay, so we're looking at this in two aspects, right? Obviously, looking at the job market and what's out there. As a criminology student, you're obviously not seeing anything that is written criminology. But the speakers previously mentioned, and I always say this all the time, is that we need to be creative. Don't only look at jobs that are written criminology. So firstly, that's a good step. I do agree with you with relating with the job market. Secondly, it is feasible for you to do your honors degree in forensics as a criminology holder, as long as you meet the requirements. I think currently the requirement to get into forensics honors at UNISA is 60%. I stand to be corrected. However, I do have my mentor on call, just to be sure, guys. If I'm not 100% sure about something, I like to ask the next person. Hopefully she can also give her input on what she thinks on this as well, because she's also has a bit more experience. So Dr. Tobane, if you're available right now, could you just answer this question, and then we can just move on with the next speaker. Thank you so much, Doc, for just jumping in the last minute.
Not a problem. Good evening and well done on tonight's webinar. Yes, you are correct in that I think it is actually, there's a lot of, unfortunately, criminology students who do hold the degree, but are not employed in the criminology space or in the criminal justice space. And this is where you also need to be very creative, like you said, and also look at other jobs that might not necessarily specify that you must be a criminologist or have a criminology qualification. You know my story. I worked at the bank as a risk analyst in the bank. I didn't, luckily I got headhunted for that position, but at the same time, when it was advertised, they didn't say, we want somebody with a qualification in criminology or whatever. So, but I was actually positioned in the right space because I was analyzing crime in the bank. I usually tell people that as long as there is crime in South Africa, a criminologist can actually pretty much be hired anyway. It's just that obviously a lot of people haven't realized what it is exactly that we do. But because it's really difficult for a lot of criminology students to get employed, I think it is actually good to upskill yourself, to add additional skills and all of that. Yes, definitely having a qualification in forensics can actually put you one step ahead of a student who only just has a qualification in criminology. Like I just saw, also in the chat, somebody speak about they are doing internal auditing. Can they do? And I do know a lot of people. When I was in the bank, there was actually a lot of forensic investigators who were doing internal auditing. So then it's great just to upskill, to add on to your skills, to that criminology qualification that you have. And I think it's actually going to, in the long run, going to pay off, because you are not just sitting with the one qualification. And it's a lot of people still don't know what we do as criminologists. And it's they still don't know, have no idea what we do, but it's up to us to put ourselves out there and say, this is what I do as a criminologist, and then only then they'll be able to understand it exactly what it is you are doing. Long story short, I think, yes, it is possible to do that forensic qualification. It's better for you to actually upskill yourself and empower yourself so that the field becomes wider. for yourself, unlike when you are limited and you only have just a criminology qualification. So yeah, that would be my long response to your very straightforward question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tovani. She was in the background, but she was able to hop in, and just wanted to be sure what get additional answer for the question. But I think one thing we can all relate is that we definitely need to upskill. We cannot have one qualification only. So you definitely have to upskill if you have the opportunity to do so. I think that you should do that. And secondly, like Brian mentioned with it, when it comes to values, integrity, and easily being, maneuvered around to receive money. The same thing applies with us as criminologists in Dr. Bani. We conduct research with correctional offenders. And yes, even though we don't know them personally, especially if you're in the male prison, you might be asked favors, and it starts small with the small favors before it becomes the big things, and you start becoming in love with the offender and you're doing things. And either or, on both genders, it happens. So there are a lot of things that we go through as criminal justice professionals, and ethics is key. All right, thank you to our speakers, Dr. Wani as well, for jumping in. I will now continue with the program and take on our following speaker. If you could just mute your mic so our next speaker can have his mic on. All right, so Mr. Phalanndwa, I hope you are ready. He's our next speaker. It is currently 6:30. We do have a bit more time for our last speaker. One more time I need to add before I introduce our next speaker, if you do have any questions regarding a crime analyst, please let me know now so I can inform her that she has some students who'd like to inquire a few questions about her role. So our next speaker is Mr. Thinandavha Phalanndwa. And Mr. Phalanndwa is no stranger to Criminal Justice Empowered. He's one of the individuals who constantly share any available vacancies on our LinkedIn page, which I highly, highly suggest that you follow. Mr. Phalanndwa, we truly appreciate all of your efforts on our page. Mr. Phalanndwa holds a Bachelor of Laws, the LLB, from the University of South Africa. I think he just recently graduated a few months ago. Congratulations on that. As well as a Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice from the University of Venda, and a Investigation of Financial Crimes qualification from the University of Pretoria. Mr. Phalanndwa has 7 years of experience in forensic investigation, and he's currently a forensic investigator at Momentum. He started his career as a security officer at Bidvest Protea Coin. Then he became a forensic investigator intern at the Department of Justice, and later became a junior inspector investigator at the National Credit Regular before his current role right now at Momentum. Mr. Phalanndwa also spends his time assisting other students in criminal justice with job readiness and career advice. So thank you so much, Mr. Phalanndwa, for accepting our invite, and we really appreciate your time and being so patient with us as the last speaker for this evening. The floor is yours, sir. Please share your story, and we are eager to hear. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, sir.
Oh, okay. I wish I was the first speaker so that I can have at least more and more time.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
Okay, I will just start from where everything began. After matriculating, like Brian, I went and studied, I did electrical engineering. However, I dropped out because, hey, I didn't do mathematics at high school. So I dropped out in the middle of the year, and then waited for the following year to the university. That's where I got there and applied for the degree in criminal justice. I was just doing criminal justice without even knowing where am I going to work, and then what are the career opportunities. I see some of the guys that I studied with here are also present. We used to call each other detectives. So I was called Detective Phalanndwa when I was still a student. So that's where the love for the career developed. And then I started researching a lot on what are the things that I can do after having a degree. Then as I was about to complete, I looked out and then realized that a lot of graduates are not working. They are unemployed. What is it that I need to do for me to to get a job? Then I did a security officer course. I was still a student. Then I did a security officer course and then waited to graduate. After graduating, I wasted no time. I don't know how to be unemployed. I never stayed 2 months without without having a job, because immediately after graduating, I graduated in May, and then by July I was already in the field. I was an officer. Um, it was so nice because I was earning that 5,000 that I was able to pay for my accommodation, buy my own clothes, buying my own food, having money to travel, to submit applications and everything. So that's what I encourage my fellow graduates and other students to do, to say like you better do something in order for you to finance your struggle. That's what I encourage students. So while I was doing my while I was working there, that's when I went to the Department of Justice. I was a forensic investigator intern there. Um, I worked for something like 10 months or 11 months there. I was being trained to be a forensic investigator. And then amongst other things, amongst other things, the cases that I investigated involved your HR irregularities, your procurement irregularities, theft of state funds, and abuse of state vehicles. Those are the cases that we used to investigate a lot. Brian mentioned something here about referring other students or other colleagues or other people that you know. Well, I think I was on my 7th month of internship when I was headhunted by this other company. It's a consulting company. They wanted a junior forensic investigator. Then I was like, I cannot take, because it was a 3 month contract. And then I checked the money. I think they were paying something like 12,000 per month, and then I was earning as little as 3,000 per month. Then I chose experience over money, and then I referred my 2 friends who already finished the internship, who were sitting at home without a job. They went there, and then they were employed, and then they are moving. Even now they are still employed, but then they've moved to other companies. While I was working there, I realized that my contract is ending, and then we are not being promised anything. That's where I applied to the Department of Labor. I went there to the Department of Labor. I was working as an admin clerk at the legal department. So I was helping the legal officers to prepare for the court hearings in relation to the compensation fund and everything. While I was working there, I pushed something like 2 years, 8 months, and then I went to the National Credit Regulator. That's where everything, that's where I learned a lot of things. And then that's where I learned that an investigator must be ethical, because I used to do a lot of field work. So one should know that at the National Credit Regulator, you investigate the the cash loans, the banks, and the debt counselors and everything. So in the market, Indian, like Chinese and Nigerians are like at the highest market in the money lending environment. So those people are very good in bribing. Um, I don't even remember how many bribes that have been offered uh, while I'm rejecting them to make the case disappear. I've been offered so many bribes. I remember I did one case in Free State where this other notorious attorney, he was Afrikaner, a very notorious attorney who is well known in that town, who is very well established here, owned a cash loan, but then his books were not clean in terms of lending money. So I went there with the Hawks. We did the search operation. We found a lot of prohibited instruments there. And then after that, he tried to bribe me, and then I refused. I came back on Friday, and then on Monday, I got a call that the guy killed himself. He committed suicide. I felt like so, like I was shaking. I was shaking because the incident was too big for me. But then, as an investigator, you have to gather your strength and move on. So after the National Credit Regulator, I went to the Momentum Metropolitan, where I was doing fraud, waste, and abuse, which falls under medical aid fraud. So I worked for I can say 1 year, because I recently moved to the group forensics. So there I learned that as an investigator, you have to be very skilled in knowing everything, because I didn't even know what is data analytics before I got there. So I learned a lot of things in terms of analyzing data using Excel, drawing the patterns using Excel, and then knowledge of different systems that are fraud related, your fraud management systems, a lot of systems that that they use there in order for you to get the information and in order for you to analyze the data that is in front of you. I investigated a lot of doctors and then medical practitioners who are committing fraud. You might think doctors, because they are doctors, they don't steal. Those people are they steal a lot. They steal millions of money of medical aid, and then they use their tactics. Maybe they overcharge on a certain pill, or they just guess the medical aid number and claim, or they just buy the leads from maybe an HR office in a certain hospital or in a certain government department. They buy the leads of medical aid numbers, and then they start claiming. So those are the things that I was investigating. So currently I'm doing, I'm more like a police officer of the whole company, because we investigate everything which is happening within the company itself, from staff members, claims that are coming through, which involve disability claims, death claims, pension fund claims, which are section there is 36C. Also, your HR irregularities, and then the abuse of state vehicles, the company's vehicles, and everything. So we investigate everything that comes in, which comes in for us to investigate. More information that I can share with you guys is that for you to be an investigator, you need to develop a passion. You need to develop a passion, and you need to make connections with people who are in the field. And then another thing, you need to do those short courses. Mr. Mulafhi mentioned them, and then also the ones that are offered by the Enterprise University of Pretoria. They are very much informative, because those short courses are being presented by people who are from the field. You are going to get an ex-detective who is going to be presenting the Section 205 and the process of obtaining a search warrant. So he's going to tell you what he does while he was on the field. And then you are going to get a presentation maybe by Dr. Tobane, who worked at the bank, who knows how crime looks like at the banking environment. You're going to get a presentation by a person like myself who works for an insurance company, who knows how the criminal syndicates works or operate within the insurance industry. Qualification-wise, I mentioned that I studied Bachelor's of Arts in Criminal Justice. I studied a Bachelor's of Laws. I recently graduated, and then I also did a certificate in financial crime investigations. And then, if you regularly check the ACFE website on LinkedIn and on like on the website, and also the ICFP, they sometimes have the free webinars where you can attend those webinars and actually get a certificate. So on those webinars, you are going to get the lecturers where you let's say maybe they will choose a topic to say today we are doing open source intelligence or social media, conducting investigation using social media or Facebook or those social media platforms. So you need to subscribe to those sites, and then you're going to attend those webinars. They're going to explain the process of investigating a crime using using social media, or how to gather information on the open source intelligence. I think that's what I can share for now. I'll wait for the questions.
Thank you so much. Yes, so it's 6:45. Thank you so much, Mr. Phalanndwa. I think you also added some information in addition to our first two speakers. Yes, I see that the gentleman had really a lot to say, and the students are eager to get information. So we'll continue with the questions. However, it is 6:45 now, ladies and gentlemen. I know that these kind of conversations can go on and on and on. However, we still have load shedding, so I don't want to take up too much of people's time, because these gentlemen are available on LinkedIn as well. So you can definitely directly message them and ask them questions. And don't just say, hi, it's me from the webinar. Please just be specific so they know these are busy people. And for them to prioritize criminal justice empowered students and graduates, please just explain that you are watching the webinar and this is the kind of information that you want. So it's 4 minutes, 4 minutes to 7 now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take questions. I see that we don't have any more questions for our crime analyst, which is great. So today the focus was mostly on forensics. So we will take up this time for questions. And then we'll do questions at least till 5 to 7. And then we will not be going through the repetitive questions, but then if any other questions you have, you can definitely email, and we'll see how much time we have if we can continue, but we will be taking questions up until 5 to 7. All right, can we go to the chat box and then start the questions, please?
All right, thank you so much, Thinandavha, for such insightful information. There's a question here from Robert. Where do you actually apply to be a certified fraud examiner? Are there institutions that offer that?
There are institutions that offers the training. There is an institution called it's called Africa. I forgot the name for that institution. But if you go to their website, I heard that that's where it's very cheap to do CFE. You need to go to their website, the ACFE website, and then check how much. How much the cost, and then what are the processes that you need to follow.
Okay, right, thank you so much. And before you go on, Sansiwe, I just want to inform you guys that I will go back again with the speakers just to summarize everything and get the qualifications, names, the short courses, the webinars that they were talking about, and any other resources that can assist you with regards to the academic side of things, or with job readiness. So I will create a list and I will update this during the course of the week. So don't despair to get all the information now. I will go through the recording again, and I've listed the important information. So we'll definitely be sharing that during this week as well. Okay, thanks, Sansu. You may continue.
Ilona is asking, please advise what other institutions you can do a CFE with. A CFE is really expensive.
Okay, what I said, I know the only institution or the most famous institution for ACFE is the Africa Training. I forgot it's called Africa Training. What is the most? Yeah, is the most expensive institution. So if you go to their website and buy the exam ticket, that's where I heard it's a bit cheaper. I have a friend whom I invited here. I don't know if he's still around. Maybe he can jump in and maybe assist us in that. He recently qualified to be a CFE recently. So I don't know if he's here, maybe he will just jump in and try to answer the question.
Would any other speakers like to elaborate? Brian?
Oh, okay. I did saw your question, Brian. As you need to understand that as an investigator, it does not end with the recommendations and writing the reports. It ends at the court of law, where you need to go and present your evidence. So for you to be at the court of law and present evidence, you need to understand the procedural law. You need to understand how does the court operates. And then either than that or besides that, LLB, it's more like a ceiling of the legal practice of this profession. Not a sky, but a ceiling, because there are still more qualifications that you can obtain in order to advance yourself. But most importantly, it groom you to understand the court processes, and also when you need to maybe go into private practice. Mr. Mulafhi will attest to this, that you can have a law firm as an attorney who also does consulting, forensic consulting, and other investigation related matters. So you need an LLB for that.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry, Sansue. Brian, your hand is raised. Did you want to add something?
Yes, I wanted to add in terms of the ACFE. I think he was referring to Africa Academy, which is doing that CFE cost around about 49,600. So there's also Forensic for Africa, but I think it's a bit more than that. So those that, if we have people that have studied BA Forensic Science at UNISA, it's the same thing that I studied, will attest to this. We used that frauds examiner's manual as a prescribed book for 2 modules at UNISA. So anyone that has done a BA forensic knows that it consists of like 4 modules inside. So when you are going through the process of, wanting to become certified and all that, you have to register, or rather say apply to be a member. There's a membership fee that you pay for that. Then after that, there is options if you're doing it straight with ACFE, but there are options wherein you can do it as a self-study, wherein you buy the prep course that comes with the manual. So you study that yourself, then you can apply for the exam, pay the exam fee and all that. When you're doing the application for the exam, according to my understanding or what I remember, is they ask you for 3 recommendations as well to submit when you're doing an exam application. Then after everything has been processed, then you can write your exams. You can choose. I think the best thing to do is to do an exam application when you feel that you are ready to take the exam, because the exam comes with 400 questions. It's 100 each, and it's a multiple choice question. So from what I understand, there is 3 institution, me including the ACFE itself, that do offer that course. I do know that University of Pretoria does offer contact classes as well, if you want to, do that, or if you feel that you want classes. I just don't know how much it costs right now, but that's what I know. Yes, in terms of the ACFE or getting certified.
Okay, thank you so much, Brian. Sansiwe, what is the next question?
Thank you so much, Brian. The next question is directed to Mr. Thinandavha Phalanndwa. Did you have to do any FIS qualification or short course, which is FIS, in order to be on Momentum? And also, please just elaborate what FIS is all about. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Phalanndwa, the question's for you.
Hey, I think the IFIS is those qualifications that qualify someone to work at the insurance companies, like your RE certificates and your short-term insurance kind of certificates. No, I didn't do those certificates. What one must understand is that investigation is very broad. Very, very, very broad. So I don't do short-term insurance claims investigation. I do long-term insurance claims investigation. So short-term, that's the one that requires one to be to have those FIS requirements. If you go to the website of Momentum now, there are I think 4 positions where they are looking for personal line claims investigators. If you go to the website, you will see those positions. So on those positions, you will see that they also require those kind of qualifications. It's in the short-term insurance space. So on the general forensic investigation space, they need you to have a degree or diploma in policing, criminal justice, and then other investigation-related qualification. Or maybe I should also add on this one. When I was doing my internship, I was told that for you to be an investigator, you need 2 qualifications. It's either accounting or law. So what was the meaning of that? It was meant that any accounting related qualification and any law related qualification, that's the requirement for you to be an investigator. So or any law related qualification, it's your criminology, forensic, and everything that follows within that space. And then accounting, it's your become accounting, internal auditing, and become economics, and other qualifications that falls within that space.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Phalanndwa. I'll just continue with the questions. All right, so this question is from Zamo, and Zamo's question is directed to Brian. Okay, this question is regarding any posts or recruitments that are available at SIU. For the sake of time, I think Mr. Brian did explain at the beginning that, he will be able to, if there are any posts, he will be able to direct them to me, and then I will send them through to you guys. So for the sake of time, we'll just leave that at that. So if there are posts, you will hear it through my platform, Criminal Justice Empowered, and I'll ensure to make you guys know that it's from Brian. Okay, and then the next question is, how did the PGDD DIP at UJ in compliance help in investigations and forensics as a whole? What value does it have in the forensic field? I think this, I'm not sure if this was for Brian or Mr. Phumduzo.
I think it was for Mr. Phumduzo because he's the one that mentioned the UJ
UJ,
postgrad.
Yeah, so if Phumduzo, if you could just briefly highlight that as well, because of the sake of time, with regards to the PGDIP at UJ in compliance, how does that help in investigations and forensics as a whole? What value does it have in the forensic field? Briefly.
I've already answered that question to say that one cannot be, you must make it difficult to be ignored in the market these days. So you must do all those related courses. That's why I'm saying that like money laundering is also included in that course. And then lastly, what I want to say is that this world of social media is very, is very helpful these days. I just opened my Facebook page. I realized that I shared in 2020, I shared a dissertation or a thesis that was done by Masaono Lostefina Tovane. And on this topic, she was talking about the criminal career of armed robbers with specific reference to cash-in transit. And here she interviewed over 40 inmates. So I was saying that I just hope that our people within the police service, the intelligence, they can read the thesis because remember that for the past 2 years we were having a spike of these CIT cases, and there is one book that was written. So when I was reading, because I've read a thesis, much informative. So some of the things that I post on social media is exactly what I read from her thesis. I'm just saying that let's use this platform fruitfully. Let's use Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, just to gain something. Don't waste time on just sharing useless things on social media. Follow the right people. UNISA, they upload these thesis time and again. So I'm just saying that to our learners, to our colleagues, whoever is watching this thesis, let us be beneficial. Let's add value to the next person. That's exactly what I want to say. Thank you so much.
No, I definitely agree. Thank you so much, Mr. Phumduzo. One more question here is Themba's interested in the field of forensic documents verification. And that's one area or career that is not much talked about within the Republic. Are there any institutions that provide these qualifications? So if any of you have an answer for him. Mr. Phalanndwa, do you perhaps can enlighten us on this? Do you have a response for Themba?
Yeah, you can check Forensics for Africa, Forensic Africa or Forensics for Africa. They do have that investigation of questioned documents certificate.
Thank you so much. That was efficient. Brian, this question's for you. Would you say that the BAPST, the BAFST helped you to become a better intelligence analyst? Has it added any value to you? Also, based on your experience then, what qualifications would one need to become a better intelligence analyst?
Yes, obviously the bachelor in forensic science did help me to, fit in within the intelligence spectrum. Although it feels like it's something a bit different, in all fairness, all these qualifications are interlinked. Somewhere, somehow, you will find a link there. So it did assist me in terms of with my investigating experience and the skills that I, acquired through investigation and investigating different sort of assignments or project and all that. When I came into intelligence, it did assist in terms of special research. You know what you are looking for. You know how to interpret raw data into, a more simplified, or rather say a more usable information. So basically with intelligence as well, they can just give you data or they can give you information. You need to know where to start looking. You need to know how to interpret that so that people understand what it means. So it did help in a way, because there is a link that I saw when I did move from investigation to intelligence. And as I was doing investigation as well, I also did, a bit of criminology, or rather say criminal law or law within the investigation qualification. So it is broad. It does cover different aspect.
Yeah.
So being an investigator or having a investigation degree and being a criminologist as well, you will still fit in terms of intelligence, because it has to do with research as well. It has to do with interpretation of data and all that. So lifestyle audit as well. So you will fit in. It will just depend in the with the organization that you are in, but it's all the same. If I'm to tell you like that, I don't know if it makes sense, but it is all the same. There is an interlink through all of it, because your investigation skills will come at handy in terms of having to understand certain legislations, laws and all that. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Brian. I think the hand here was it Benedict or Temba? I'm not sure who the hand was for.
I see a hand from Benedict.
Yes. Benedict, do you have a question? Please unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. You can just go ahead with your question and just try and keep it brief, but as well straight to the point, so you can also be satisfied with the answer.
Okay. My question is, I'm lacking sense of direction, and really want to know if I'm in the right path. Am I doing the right thing? Because I'm actually doing that degree in forensic science and technology, but all I want to do at the end of the day is become a forensic technician, work with the police, cover those crime scenes, and then that's it. But yes, while doing this degree, yes, you meet things like forensic intelligence and all those things. So I would like to know if there's someone who has been involved in that. How can they maybe advise me?
Gentlemen, I think this is for all of you. If you might have a response for Benedict.
I don't know if the information that I'll give out will be sufficient, but recently I saw a recruitment drive for the SAPS. They are looking for forensic analyst.
Yes.
So if you check there on those adverts, they do specify that they want a forensic analyst, and then who deals with question documents. They are looking for forensic analyst who deals with profiling. They're looking for forensic analyst who's dealing with maybe scientific evidence. Those ones are related to people who are doing chemical engineering and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think, and then most of these profiling, crime scene investigation, and forensic identification, they look want someone who did criminal law, criminology, and law of evidence most of the time. I think that's the requirement for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
You're
maybe
correct.
someone with more information can add to that.
Yes, you're correct. Mr. Phalanndwa is correct. And it just brought to my mind now. I actually, even on our LinkedIn page, I actually reposted a video of a lady who was actually doing a tutorial on how to fill in the forms accurately for these specific posts, Benedict, that you are actually inquiring for. So I'm not sure on the closing dates, but if you could just, after this webinar, go onto our LinkedIn page and look at that video and just look at the post and the closing dates. Even if the closing date has arrived, I'm sure they'll put more posts, and stay ready and watch that video on how to be able to apply properly. All right?
Okay. Okay, and you say this is on LinkedIn?
Our LinkedIn page, yes, it's Criminal Justice Empowered. However, I will also put all our details on the chat box once this webinar is finished.
Okay.
Yes. Dr. Thabane, would you like to add something briefly?
Yes, I also just wanted to say that it depends on which type that the colleague also wants to do, because I'm not too sure if he's like wants to work in the lab to like be looking at evidence in the lab and all of that. But also it sounds to me like maybe he might be wanting to do something like crime scene investigation, that kind of like where they like collecting like evidence on the crime scene and all of that. So I think maybe if he can just clarify, because he was asking for direction that he's not too sure if he is in the right direction, that what is he actually looking at doing? Does he want to work with evidence on the crime scene, just collecting, or is he looking into going into the lab, or what is it exactly that what it is that he's looking at that he wants to do?
Benedict, are you able to answer that?
Yes. I've never have seen myself in a lab or going on a day to my office and sitting on a chair. And I wouldn't appreciate that. So to what she has said, I think crime scene investigation, I'd be interested in that.
Okay. Then I think what you're doing is actually a correct qualification. And I actually do have a friend who's a crime scene investigator who works for the forensics at the SAPS. So if you can contact Ms. Mnguni, and I can get you in contact with that friend who also actually did study at UNISA police practice. I think he did the forensics qualification, and I think also some internal SAPs, like trainings that he did and stuff. So I think I can connect you with him, because he's doing exactly what you want to do. He's doing crime scene investigation. So maybe that might be the correct person to connect you with, and then he can just explain to you how everything works and all of that. But I saw also someone, sorry, Ms. Mnguni, somebody was asking about profiling. Like, how do you get into profiling? And I was wondering that what exactly are they referring to when they say that, how do you get into profiling? Because like there's also different types. Like, for example, you have a person like Dr. Miki Pistorius, who studied criminology and also studied psychology, studied clinical psychology, and she was doing the profiling of like serial killers. So then I'm not too sure what exactly, because I know like there's probably like different types, and it depends on what the specific person is asking for where profiling is concerned. Thanks. That's just a bit of input from my side.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Thabane. Benedict, you'll just send me an email. I will provide the information on the chat box at the end, and then you'll just reiterate your question, and I will just send it through to Dr. Thabane.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I see Anita responded. She said like her. So then what happens is that I know the police has psychologically motivated crimes unit. So that's where you want to go also. Previously, I think Dr. Labuskakni was the head of that unit. He did criminology and he also did clinical psychology. So so that's basically the route that they had taken. So I think you would actually want to look more into the psychologically motivated department of the police. Look in that area, that what it is that they're dealing with, because that's where they're doing like a lot of like profiling, and especially if you want to do the criminology and the psychology stuff, then I know the qualifications that these colleagues that I'm specifically mentioning, Labuskakni and Pistorius, they did clinical psychology, and then they also did criminology. So they had qualification in both criminology and psychology.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thabane. Great. I'm seeing that most of the people that are asking questions are being answered. I'll just read question Mr. Mavhandu, this one's for you. I tried another institution to do the CFE. They advised me to be a local and international member first before I can proceed further with the exam, as well as meet certain requirements for the ACFE before the exam can be taken. How true is this?
Okay, what I know is there's the local membership and all that. So there's being an affiliate member and an associate member. I think that's where it differs. So I think the person has to be an associate. I think it includes local and international. Then you can proceed from there. So I think people sometimes do get confused between the two membership. You just have to read because there's also students membership. So they advise you that based on the kind of membership you have in, and also there are requirements. You have to have a degree, you have to have experience. I think it's 2 years experience minimum that they that they ask for. And if it's someone that has been in the field but don't have experience, I think that don't have a qualification, I think they want a bit of more experience. I can't remember clearly if it's 4 or 5 years. It's somewhere that I think it's from 5 years. But if it happened, because I was helping some of the people from our forensic group as well, the WhatsApp forensic group. So if it happens that someone wants more clarity on how to go about it also, and they're getting a bit confused, they can also try to reach me on LinkedIn as well. I can try to explain it just to, save time here so that people can be busy. So yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Brian. Mr. Phalanndwa, do you have a question? Do you have a answer that you'd just like to get into briefly before I take the last question?
Sorry, I just wanted to add that there is also ICFP. I think locally it carries the same value as the CFE. So colleagues should also look out to it. The institution that offers ICFP is the University of Northwest. They should check out under the School of Accountancy.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Here I'll take Susanda's question. I am currently doing a Bachelor of Arts in Police Science. Any advice on which institution to acquire experience during my course of study? Sibanda, could you elaborate on your question, please? I'm not sure if have you completed your police science qualification? You're currently doing it, so you want experience. However, you're still busy with your qualification, or maybe you're looking into future prospects. Mr. Phalanndwa, I see your hand. Would you like to add on? Or is that a historical hand? Okay, I think that's a historical hand. But just to answer you, Sibanda, from my knowledge, I am aware that, especially if you're doing your police science BA, that the SAPS are like constantly, I think annually, if I'm not mistaken, are taking out posts for internships. So that's the first place that you can gain experience during your course of study. After studying, actually, because they only want graduates. So unfortunately, as an undergrad, still, if you still continue to study, they will not accept any applications, only post-graduation. All right, so yeah, I hope that answers your question. However, if you'd like me to go deep into that, you could definitely email us. I will respond and get additional information if I have to as well. And then the last question, ladies and gentlemen, is, hi, I'd like to know exactly what it takes to get into SAPS forensics specifically ballistics. I have a degree in criminology and currently doing third year in forensic science degree. I have a private investigation training with firearm competency. Is there anything more which I need to equip myself with in order to stand a chance? Okay, this question is from Nokonwaba. Nokonwaba, as far as in terms of the requirements and the roles that are required when the posts do come out, I haven't actually interacted with anyone in the recruitment to specifically state what kind of questions and things that they're expecting, except for your qualifications. They do state if they need a diploma or they need a degree. However, I think our speakers did highlight on the importance of adding on to your qualifications with regards to your certificates, your firearms. Those are important as well. So I definitely think that you should look into that, but you can also just listen back to the recording once it's posted and then listen to the kind of certificates they were talking about. Additionally, I could also inquire for you at my colleagues at the police practice department as well and see if they have any advice for you. But if you'd like to elaborate on your question, you could definitely email us as well, and I'll get you the full answer if you're not really satisfied with my response. But before I close, gentlemen, is there anything that you'd like to add on in terms of Nokwanda's question? Okay, so I think that is all. Okay, yeah. I think that is all for today. It is 20 minutes past 7. We have come to the end of the webinar. Thank you so much for tuning in till the end. Okay, it seems like we have a question quickly before I go. No questions. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this webinar was informative and shared a bit of information on the various things and directions you can take in forensics as a student in the School of Criminal Justice. I also wanted to note the importance of planning your career trajectory starting now at this very moment. Maybe right now you're focusing on passing your assignments and qualifying. Okay, wait. It keeps on flashing. I think there's a hand. Okay, I think we have a question.
It looks like there's a question from Tiafula. I think that's Tiafula Tilid. Chilizi.
Yeah, I'm trying to. If your question's brief, we can take it quickly, but we need to let our speakers go, or else we'll be here the whole day. I've unmuted you so you can ask quickly.
Okay, thank you. But I see on the chat there, I think Phalanndwa said he will assist me, but let me just ask me because you gave me an opportunity. So I wanted to ask about the cover letter, but that one, let me leave it to Mr. Phalanndwa because he said he assist me. But the other one I wanted to ask, I graduated in 2017. I've got experience. I worked at the SAPS, an internship, 1-year internship as a research assistant. I wanted to know if the research experience play a role or can add value in the field of forensic investigation or in the field of criminal justice. I'm the one who mentioned there in the chat that I'm also doing my master's in criminal justice, but I'm hardly getting an opportunity in the field of criminal justice. I've been working in a research environment for some time. I also work at UNISA at the Bureau of Market Research, and then also at HSRC, and then I'm currently working at Menkosa. However, I'm fighting to get an opportunity in the criminal justice environment, but I'm struggling. To be honest, I've never get not even a single opportunity, and I'm applying every now and then. So any advice?
Okay, no, I definitely understand the struggle. I also started in the field as well as an academic when I started my master's as well. So I definitely understand. Brian, would you like to take this one?
I heard that he was talking about being a research assistant and all that. My advice, as hard as it is, keep on applying, and also do look in intelligence as well, because when I joined the when I transitioned to intelligence as well, they are somehow different division and all that. The initial division that I started on, that kind of experience would come so much at handy. Like, it would come at handy because you also deal with other African countries. So your expertise as a researcher are very, very important, because they also do task you with special research, wherein they just give you what to research on. So it's up to you to write a report and all that based on your research and all. They will give you the guidelines and all that. So I just want to encourage you to also look into that. Don't just say that, oh, because I have this, I'm looking in forensic and criminal justice only, because I do have some colleagues as well, I think, that joined in, that have been in intelligence, before me, actually. And I think they studied criminology. So also do look into that spectrum, to get employment, to get exposed.
Yeah, it's possible. That's what you're saying. It's
Very
possible.
possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, colleagues. And to the attendees, I will definitely close all the questions now. I definitely think that I did allow some overtime. Just to redo my closing remarks again, we have officially come to the end of our webinar. Diabulela, Payatanki, thank you so much for tuning in till the end. I know that it was a lengthy one, and I hope that this webinar was informative and we were able to share a bit of information on the various directions you can take with regards to your future career in forensics as a student in the School of Criminal Justice. I also wanted to note the importance of planning your career trajectory at this very moment. Maybe right now you're still focusing on passing your assignments and qualifying for your exams. Then once that is done, you focusing on passing that exam, and then you're focusing on taking a break because you've been going through so much academically, and then you only start thinking about your career at the end, final year, or once you've graduated. So it is quite important to start the planning now, and I think that this is why we have these kind of platforms to kind of start it with you, so that all the information is out there and ready for you to grasp it all in. I think one thing we need to understand, especially with the situation of the previous attendee that asked the question regarding unemployment. Unemployment is definitely something that we are dealing with tremendously, especially in the field of criminal justice. And I think that's why it's important for us to hold hands and support each other with regards to information. If the job is not for you, and please share it with someone else. Don't hold on information, because unemployment is out of our control. But the one thing that you can do is do the research and put in the work and take the initiative. So even if you're not sure, reach out to the people in your field. LinkedIn is your friend. And I think like Mr. Phumduzo mentioned earlier, this is why we use our social networks to put our work out there, not to show off of our achievements, but to basically be the transformation, to be the representation for our students out there, to actually see that, the people in this field actually exist. So just remember, LinkedIn is your friend. And even if you don't have all these fancy things to write in there, just have enough and just, talk about your skills and all of those things. And it'll definitely come in handy. And we are also on LinkedIn, like I mentioned. network with other professionals as well. That's why I try my best to be active so students can easily find information and inquire when need be. So one more thing is, do not take it personally when other professionals don't reply back to you. Also ensure, like I previously mentioned, that you don't just message people hi. I do get messages and people like, hi, Miss Mnguni, please mentor me. Hi, Sissy, I need a plan. Please help me. And you're not really coming to me and showing me like who you are, what you're able to do. And I understand that a lot of us are confused. I was confused at the beginning. I remember writing Dr. Toban an email as well, and she probably doesn't remember this, but she didn't reply, because I didn't have a plan. I just said, please. I remember my email was really, really like not on par. So I suggest you have a plan before reaching out, and reach out to as many people as you can. Also, just to add, there are also professional bodies for all our criminal justice students, such as CRIMSA, where you can also develop yourself academically and professionally. I'll definitely share more information in the chat box as well on our social media pages. Yes, I wish the discussion was longer, and I know that a lot of our people were affected by the load shedding schedule. So just tell your friends that I will upload the recording, so they shouldn't not despair at all. Please do not hesitate to contact us and email us at criminaljustice@gmail.com for any inquiries you may have. This platform is here to provide community and guidance. One more thing, I've been saying one more thing, but truly be creative in the job market. And remember, everyone has to start somewhere. The gentleman here today did share that, some of them started as security guards. I myself started in retail, and finally got my break in academia. I'm in academia. Other people are in the industry. There are various spaces that we can work in. So please don't forget to complete the evaluation form that I'll also post in the chat box to just evaluate our webinar and provide any suggestions for future events that we will have. In closing, I just want to say truly all the best with your studies, and to our graduates that are still in the job hunting process, all the best to you too. I know it can be tough, but we are here if you need any support. To our speakers, Mr. Brian, Mr. Phumduzo and Mr. Phalanndwa, thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking your time. I know it's been a long one, and sharing your experience and being so informative. Thank you so much. And this is my official closing. Dr. Swane, not forgetting you as well. Thank you so much for chipping in as well and providing information. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It is always an honor to be able to assist and serve you. Keep safe and keep well. From Nokonwaba Mnguni, CJE founder. Till next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Nokonwaba. Goodbye.